Let's learn today. It's Bridge Made Simple.
And it is important to think about when we're listening to the auction, and we should be listening to the auction, making sure that we're starting with a picture of partner's hand. Now, we haven't seen the dummy yet, which makes things harder, but we should have a sketch in our head of they have about 25 high card points combined, right? 15 to 17 and something that they wanted to go to game. So somewhere around 25. And when dummy comes down and it turns out dummy has 15, we'll readjust. But for now, before we see the dummy, we think they have about 25 and we have 7. All right, I'm going to ask a very important question. How many points are in the deck? How many points are in a deck of cards? Good, Linda. Good, Anita. Yeah, this is a basic question, but it's one that we don't always take that big picture step back and think about. We have 40 points in the deck. There are 40, 10 in each suit. An ace, a king, a queen, and a jack. 4, 3, 2, 1. I do a lot of Ken-Kens, so I've added up 4, 3, 2, 1 a lot of times. But 4, 3, 2, 1 is 10. There are 4 suits. Easy. There are 40 points in the deck, even though it feels like sometimes there are more from some auctions. And so when we're about to make the opening lead, or when we're thinking about the auction, when we're defending, we should always have that number 40 in our head and subtract whatever the opponents have. So here I'm taking 40 minus 25 gives us 15. 15 minus the 7 points we have gives us 8. Partner has about 8 points. We will adjust that once we see the dummy. Maybe they only have a 9 count. Maybe they have a 12 or 13, and we adjust. But we're doing that kind of math, and I know some teachers somewhere told you there would be no math in bridge. Well, that was a lie to get you involved. Now that we've got you hooked, I'm here to tell you that there's math involved in bridge. But you are going to have to do a little bit of math and figure out about how many points partner has. Well, partner has about 7 points. Okay, so that means that partner can have an honor or a couple of honors. Uh, but it doesn't mean that we're like trying to find partner's suit. When partner has a good hand, when partner has 13 or 14 and we have very little, that's when you might really try to say, well, my hand, I'm not going to be able to set up my suits. Maybe I'll try to figure out what suit partner has. Here, we're doing a little bit of that. We're trying to find our suits, but we're also just trying to not do too many bad things. Well, the combination of good and bad is leading our long suit. And here it happens to be away from an honor. Uh, but we have 2 long suits, spades and clubs. Well, if we lead a spade or we lead a club, we're just guessing. And we have to find that little bit of extra inference. And I mentioned it earlier, the little bit of extra inference we have when the auction goes 1 no pass 3 no trump is that North didn't use Stamen. So they don't have a 4-card major and some shape, right? They didn't transfer, so they definitely don't have a 5-card major. And so when we're making our opening lead, we have that information, which means that the North hand is slightly more likely to have a minor suit. Now, we also know that declarer, if they had, say, 6 of a major, is really unlikely to open a no trump. I know we've all seen people do it, but we're not going to anticipate that that's happening. But when you have a 6-card minor, it's more interesting or more likely that you'll open a minor as the 1 no trump because it saves a rebid problem some of the time. Similarly, if you have 5 of a major and 4 of a minor, you're going to open a major, or at least that's what we teach. Whereas if you have 5 of a minor and 4 hearts, you might open 1 no trump. So there's all sorts of reasons where opening bidder is slightly more likely to have the minors, and responder is much more likely to have the minors. And that means that we should probably tend to, when things are close, we tend to lead the major. When things are not close, like on the first example we looked at, where we were leading against no trump, well, there we had a really good minor suit, so we led it. Here, we don't have a great minor suit, and we don't have a great major suit, so we're going to lead the major just because it's a toss-up. A lot of these things are ways to determine between toss-ups. These are now, we're out of our comfortable territory and we're into the, oh, anything could be right territory.